Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live stream this morning. I'm glad that you're here. Well, if you're here. So I was actually flustered this morning. I went to the gym and then I came home and I'm like, oh, I've got to get that live stream up and running. So welcome, everyone. I'm just going to adjust my screen here so it's not showing on the edge there. All right. So welcome to the live stream on artificial intelligence and education. I wanted to do this live stream so that I could sort of get I want to do some work with AI on education. I'm developing a course on AI and education, and I have some things that I wanted to do today. And I thought, you know what? Why not live stream it? Why not go ahead and take a look at the live stream here? I'm just going to have a look here and see if I can see. I've got my screen here and my screen here, just so you know, I've got the two locations. So we should be here, and let's pop that on there. Okay, there we go. All right, well, welcome everybody. And I guess some destinations I can't see your comments, some destinations I can, but I should be live. Okay, so today what I wanted to do, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this after the fact, is go through a few different AI tools that can support us in education, and maybe depending on whether or not we have folks coming in, have a bit of a discussion on your thoughts and around AI in education. It's a huge topic right now. Everybody's thinking, oh, I need to get up to speed on AI in education. And a lot of people are thinking, you know what, I'm a little bit afraid of AI in education because it's going to change the landscape. And we're even seeing to the point now where we're seeing a lot of, there's schools out there that are actually getting rid of teachers. It's not a common thing by any stretch of the imagination. It's more experimental, but they're using guidance, mentors, something like that. They're using people that will help students use AI and have the AI get them through the content that they need to get through in terms of qualifications and core competencies. I don't actually believe that's a very smart idea, because I think that if your entire educational system is based upon information exchange, then you may be missing the point. But the point of education is to develop skills that go beyond just information retrieval and synthesis, because definitely information retrieval, that's Google. That's something you can do through a search engine or a library search engine. You can retrieve information easily. And then synthesizing information was really the thing that AI has made dramatic changes, where it can take large amounts of information, it can synthesize that information together, and creates an opportunity for us to then take that synthesized information and do something meaningful with it. I think that's the real role of teaching. So if we take a look here, and I'm just going to pop in here and grab this here. All right. There we go. I'm going to hide that. So I've just got a couple of things in here that are mechanical that I need to take care of. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to share off my screen. So see if we can go ahead and throw my screen on there. And I'm going to go through a few things. Let me actually pop up a whiteboard here. So I'm just going to drag this over here, and we'll go to Microsoft Whiteboard. And we'll have a little look at a few things that I'm hoping to accomplish today. So we'll just go in and log on in. Oh, probably have to put my proper password on there. Let's just pop over here, and we'll put in my proper password. I might have to do this a little bit where I'm going to be coming in and out of the screen when it comes into passwords and stuff, just because I want to do a number of tools. So. And it's just giving me some mechanical stuff here. So the idea here is that today I wanted to go through and just have to approve my sign-in request here on my Authenticator app. It's always good to be nice and secure. So we'll say yes to that. And oh, Face ID, smile. Let's try the Face ID again. All right, there we go. And now I am on my Microsoft Whiteboard. And we'll go back here. So we'll go ahead and say okay to this. And off it comes. All right, there we go. So what I'd like to do is basically walk through the process of using AI to do some things in terms of building content, synthesizing information, then building content, and then doing something verifying the content or creating variety within the content. So the idea when it comes to, we're going to synthesize some content. I'm going to synthesize some content, and what we're going to do there is I have an interesting tool. There's some updates to AnswerThis, which is a research tool that I've been using in terms of using this tool to create literature reviews, to synthesize the known literature on a specific topic. So we're going to use AnswerThis. We're going to generate some content, and they've just done some updates to this, which I have yet to see. So we're going to see these live together, and we're going to then take that synthesized content, and we're going to use that in another tool to create an online course. So we're going to create an online course using that other tool, and then we're going to take that online course. Actually, we're going to take the synthesized information and using principles of universal design for learning, which means that we're going to provide multiple ways for our students to interact with the data and the information that we want them to interact and do something substantial with. We can actually turn that into a podcast. And I've been doing this a little bit as well. And then we can also take that online course and look at other tools that we can use to augment and improve that content. And that's kind of what I'm looking at. And it would probably help if I share my screen off with you guys, because I just was let's go ahead and share off my screen. So pop this on here so you can see here. We're going to synthesize the information. So we're going to do synthesis of the information. Then we're going to take that synthesized information, generate a podcast and an online course, and then we're going to augment and improve that information so that we can make it even better. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. So let's start off with AnswerThis. So obviously there's a lot of topics that we could cover here. It doesn't really matter which here, but you can see I've got my AnswerThis. Now I happen to have a pro account here, so I'll go in and use my pro account in order to log into my AnswerThis. I'll just pop in, go in here, log in with that account. There we go. So now I've got my, and if you want the pro, so you can try out AnswerThis, all this software. I have other videos on the channel on all of the things that I'm using here. I'm going to create another one with the new AnswerThis with some of the new things that it has available to it as I discover them. But if you do want to try it out, you can try it out for free. Just go to answerthis.io. And if you do decide to go pro, use Frank20. So you can use the code. They gave me this code a while back. So just use the code Frank20 for a discount if you want. But that's only if you go pro. You can try it out beforehand. You can see what it does here today. So what I'm going to do, I can go in and you can see I have a number of projects here that I've done. For example, I asked the question, I did some deep research on AI in education. Will it help or hurt student success? And you can see that the generated answer for this specific one provides me with an introduction, allows me, it goes through a number of different resources, and it actually will synthesize those into a literature review. That literature review will then allow me to pull the papers that were used in order to generate it. You can see that on the side here, I've got, this is a paper on revolutionizing education through AI, comprehensive review. And then for some reason, my shared screen just popped off. It's not going to be very useful if this continues. So let's go ahead and go the entire screen. And I do want that shared. Please stay there. So hopefully that's not going to be an issue where this pops away too much. So you can see here that the papers that were used as part of the synthesis are here. You can see that the PDFs are actually available to me. So I can actually go in and I can actually chat with the PDF to go deeper into a specific resource that I used in terms of working with this. I can save the resource into my library if I want to do further research on papers that I find interesting. And then when it has PDFs that are available, I have the DOI, and that means I can go out, I can find that particular PDF. So you can see that I've got my citation in here, and make sure that I have the PDF. I can go and grab the PDF and find it. So that's on a separate screen that I have that, but the DOI is the main one here. So if you can see with the DOI, I have the paper here. You can see that I can pull the paper and I can actually grab it for my library if I need to. So that's a great feature of AnswerThis, is that it actually provides the references. I can also, of course, go in here and I can make some changes here. So I can choose all of them, and I can actually do a bibliometric analysis of these papers. So it takes a few moments to do this. Now, the reason that I might want to do this is it's good if I'm doing a presentation or a poster and I want to do something where I can look at whether there's a trend upwards or downwards in the topic that I'm looking at. If we are dealing with years, we do have to remember that we're only halfway through 2025 at this point in time. So this is kind of not going to be particularly, you know, if we look at here, there's 8 publications over 16. So halfway through the year, half as many publications. We're kind of on trend to match 2024. It depends on whether more gets published over the summer. And then if we have a look here, though, some of the things that I like here is I do like the word clouds, mostly from just the standpoint of if I'm doing a presentation, these can be kind of nice to include in the presentation. I can look at top authors. I can look at terms in here. It's a nice little way of visualizing or getting a data set on the information that came out of this particular analysis that I did. So if we take a look here, we can put in any topic. So if I go back, I can execute a new query. And when I execute the new query, there's an auto field in here. So there's some new enhancements that AnswerThis is put in. So I can go in and it'll choose based upon my question, what's the best type of AI to use on this? Whether it's best to generate a literature review, whether it's best to do deep research. I can even upload my own PDFs and get some synthesis of my own research that I may have already have in my library. So if I have a Zotero reference manager, or if I have something where I've collected papers in a folder based upon a research project that I'm doing, I can actually go in and just upload those. And that's nice. So it's a great way to go through. You can go to libraries here. So you can see in my case here, if I go into library here, I only have the default one in there. I'll actually close that out of here. So we'll take that out. And if I go down here, explore tools, you can see literature review. I can search papers, create citation maps. So this is a nice visualization of the citation map if I want to go in here. I can chat with PDFs individually. It even has tools to help me with my writing. So I can use the AI to help write papers. I can pull data and summarize data. And there's even diagram generators. So if I look at the generation of a diagram here, I could say, map of, map. Let's do something with AI. Maybe I want to create a diagram of, it's a little hard to think of a diagram with AI, but you can do whatever type of diagram if you were doing different types of research where you're looking at maybe something that has more of a process enabling or a process aspect to it. You can put that in there as well. So you can generate different diagrams in here, user journey diagrams, Gantt charts, timelines. Mind maps are always handy. I'm a big fan of mind maps. So you can see we have that in here. So generating, let's say I decide I do want a literature review, and it could be, well, let's put on auto. And I want to go in, and my question is, what role does AI play in student success related to universal design for learning principles? So here I might want to specifically look at, can AI support me in providing tailored or varied experiences for my students in their ability to not just consume information as presented, but remix it or in a way that's more meaningful for them. And we'll see that this will become interesting to us when we say to ourselves, we'll go in here and start the process. Starting the process, have to put my screen back on there. So this may become a a challenge for us? I don't know. We'll see. So, so when I'm working with students, one of the things that I like about AI in education is I have the ability to take a topic or something that I'm working with, and I might have a very structured way that I present that to a class based upon my preferences, my experiences, tradition, whatever the case may be. And the reality is that when you have a class of more than 2 people, more than 1 person, you have different perspectives of the best way to absorb that information. As soon as you have 2 or more people, you have 2 or more perspectives. And we know that classes can be 30, 40, or even more students. So the question is, what is it that you're trying to share with them? In many cases, it's the initial information that you're trying to share with them so that you can then use that as a catalyst for activities. You can use that for group work, teamwork, whatever the case may be. And one of the things that's really important when we do this is to be able to remix it so that it meets the needs of a diverse student population. This is where I really like AI because I can generate a paper, I can generate a podcast. We're reaching a point now where we can even generate educational videos. I won't be doing that today. We'll just do the 3 steps that I talked about, generate some content, generate a course out of that content, and generate a podcast, which I think is pretty significant. But you can do more, and more is coming all the time. So you can see here that now it'll reveal its thinking of what it did. So I asked about this. So it looks at 7 different documents, right? And it's going to response it, the tools that it used, right? It searched academic papers. It found 25 papers that it used. Now, I could do this, but I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to do that in the time that it just took for this to occur. And could I do it better? Well, you know, obnoxiously, yes, of course I could do it better. But, you know, could I do it as quickly? Certainly not. And does this at least get me to a point where I can then start adding my own analysis and perspective to it? And I think that's really where this comes into play. So you can see, we're not going to read through the paper here, but you can see we're fostering inclusion, autonomous learning. We can go through and just by the titles that I have here. And if I was to take this, by the way, and if I was to grab all of the text here, so let me actually go down to the bottom. And if I go down to the bottom here, I'm just going to go in, and you'll notice that I can edit it with AI. I can share it privately. I can copy. I can generate a PDF of this as well as a Word document. So I just did copy, and I'm going to pop into Gemini. And it doesn't matter what AI large language model you're using here. Oh, that's nice. So I have Pro here, and I should be in there, yeah. And if I put in, you know, if I say, was the following written by AI, and then I'll paste in the text that I just generated. So quite a lot of text in there. And it's going to say yes. It's going to detect that this was written by AI, and it's going to tell me why. And within this, we can see where my challenges might be if I wanted to. I'm not going to generate a research paper. I'm not going to do a literature review through AnswerThis and then submit that as being original work. That would be wrong, right? On many levels, ethically, and the fact that it'll get picked up like that, right? So there's, you know, in terms of structured thematic organization, synthesis of multiple, you know, so it's a formal and an impersonal tone. These are all things that I can, you know, obviously bring myself into the process to eliminate, but it doesn't mean that I can't use what was generated by AnswerThis as my starting point. Right? It's not the finishing point, it's the starting point for further work, which you'll see in a moment, right? You can see here, I've got my, you know, information here. I could go in, by the way, and change my type of citation so you can get a lot of the heavy lifting done, a lot of the pulling dusty papers from the stack, so to speak. I can get that done through AnswerThis, right? And then what I'm able to do, and I'm actually going to grab this as a PDF, so I'll save this out as a PDF as well. And just for the sake of the live stream here, I'm just going to grab that. It'll be in my downloads folder. So I should have that, yeah, rolled as AI play. I've got 2 of them because I pressed it twice. So now I've got this document that we've generated. And there's a lot more that I can do in terms of working with this. I can do my citation map, so I can, you know, start massaging this. I can start looking at how things relate to each other and such. But this isn't just a live stream about AnswerThis. It's just the first tool that we're going to use on our journey. The next thing that I want to do is, now that I've generated or synthesized a bunch of information, maybe bringing my own self into this, maybe doing my own analysis. And just so you know, I'm not sharing the screen. It's for some reason kicking out every so often, so I just have to make sure I reshare it. So the next tool that I wanted to show you is kind of a very interesting tool, which is eSkilled Course Creator. And so if we look at eSkilled Course Creator, so let me just pop here. And yeah, so I have this here. Let me just, oh, hello, little robot. So let me go in here. Let me go in. I think I have a different account that I use for this one. So I'm going to have to, just log in is what that boils down to. And what we're doing is eSkilled Course Creator will allow me to create a course, an entire course out of PDFs that I put in. The challenge that I have, well, I'll show you in a moment, but let me grab the eSkilled. And there's my account. When you have multiple accounts, you kind of have to remember them all. And we'll go in there and put in my super secret password. Which is super secret. It's on the other screen. Make sure I'm logged in. Okay. Okay. And we'll see here. Try one more time. Great thing about doing a live stream is that, my good old friends, the cap lock. There we go. Okay, so I've logged into my eSkilled Course Builder with my account, Learning and Technology with Frank, and I've built a number of courses here, but we're going to build one right now. So this is another example of where AI can help me out. And I did a presentation not that long ago where I was speaking about the idea that I could create the courses so rapidly, so quickly, the foundation of a course. Again, I don't think AI is a replacement. I think it's a tool for efficiency, and I think it's a tool to help me with the process, not necessarily to replace a process. And I'm just having a look here. Oh, let's grab that. If you are commenting, I want to apologize that I cannot seem to see any comments, but I don't even know if anybody's here. So it's kind of an awkward scenario with my just the way that things are set up with my live streaming software. Everything's a learning curve. So, I'm going to try this. I'll just say hello and see if that shows up. And, oh yeah, okay, so it just could be that there's nobody here. I could be talking into the wind, but I'm still going to post this so that you guys can see it after the fact if you're unable to make it live. So with AI Course Creator, I'm going to create a course. And I've already done a number of courses. And as I was saying in the previous presentation that I gave, which was at a school that I teach at, I talked about the idea that we have multiple avatars when it comes to students. So I might have a student not just within a classroom, but across a campus. I could have a student that's in a different school. Let's say, for example, I have somebody that's in engineering, somebody that's in business, somebody that's in anything. Oh, hey, how's it going? How's it going, Jazz? Good to see you. Hey, nice to see you. Hopefully this is interesting for you. So we have, we have these different students that are in different programs, and we want to be able to create a course for them. So if I go in to create a course, so I'll create a course, I'll give the course a name. Now, what we're doing is we're creating this course here underneath the, using AI. Will it help or hurt students, right? That was the PDF, right? And if we take a look at my downloads, what role does it play in success? So that's the one that we're going to do. So we'll say AI and the role it plays in student success. And we could say this is going to be based upon some UDL principles in here. So again, the course will be very specific to what we do need to do. I could put in a description of the course. This is optional. So for the purposes of this live stream, I'm just going to put in, description goes here, right? But the more that we put in, obviously, the better that it will be once the course is produced. And then we can describe the course in detail. Once again, it's optional. Here's the real key. So I can choose the type of course that I'd like, right? So in this case, AI is going to use it to create the course. And if I want to, oh, there goes that screen. So this is something I'm going to have to get used to in the live stream software. So what we can do is we can describe it, right? And creative, it can be a document conversion. But what I'm going to do is we're going to go in and it's going to look at the documents that I have. And it's going to say, okay, based upon these documents, here's how I'm going to build this online course. And I can choose how deep I want this to be. It's just going to be a little overview course. I could generate multiple synthesized research papers. I could do deep research. I could do literature reviews through AnswerThis, through other AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever the case may be. And I could get more comprehensive. I tend to say that if I'm only going to use the 25 papers that AnswerThis did, then I'm going to make it an overview course. I can choose my reading level, so I'll just make it standard. If you need more information on reading levels, you can go in and it'll give you some information here in terms of what reading levels relate to in terms of age groups and such. So we have the reading age as opposed to age groups. I'll use English UK-based English. Tone of voice, I could make it maybe excited. We want to do an overview. Maybe this is something I'm generating for teaching staff. Maybe I have a lot of resistance to AI. People are like, oh, I don't want to do AI. AI is scaring me. We have that technology acceptance issues around AI. But maybe I want to say, look, if you're using AI, imagine being able to create content that helps a student that was otherwise difficult or challenging to reach. So we'll put that, we'll make it excited. I can even choose the country. I'm based in Canada, so I can choose Canada or any other country. And this is very important because AI Course Creator will generate case studies and it'll create examples that are related to geography. So this is a great thing where I can have this course creator generate some interesting content for Canada. Now, other considerations that I put in here is I could say something like, this course is for educators looking to work with AI but are unsure of its value in education. So we have that. Maybe we have a slightly resistant group, or a group where they're still not comfortable with the tools and they're like, I don't want it to replace me, like we see happening in misguided scenarios, in my opinion. I want to see how it can augment it. So I could put in a lot here. And then when I go in, I can put a category. It'll be artificial intelligence. I can put my own categories in there. I can choose how people are going to navigate through the course, whether it's structured, linear, or free form. I could add learning objectives if I want to be more formal. I can include case studies if I want to create more interest. I can choose different templates that they have in terms of, visuals. What's it going to look like? And I can modify all of this later. And then it's going to say, do you want quizzes? I won't have any quizzes. I can have it generate an outline through AI. I'm going to say no at the moment because I actually want to go back. No, I don't want to cancel. I want to go previous because I want to make sure that at the attach files, I didn't attach the file. That's the very beginning. I should have done that. So what I'm going to do is upload that downloaded file, which is on the course creation. So I want to have a look at what role does AI play, and want to make sure I attach that literature review that I created. And this here, I'll call it a curriculum document, or it can be a learning resource. So you can see that I can attach all sorts of different different types of documents. So this one here, I'll say this is a learning resource, but you could attach units of competency. You could attach additional quizzes that you may have created, any other type of content that you may have created for the for a course in the past. Again, the various fields that I told you about, and we can generate the outline now. So it'll generate the outline based upon that document that we generated using AnswerThis. And now you'll be able to see, it takes a few moments, but it'll actually parse that entire document that was created. Now remember, the AnswerThis document was created using 25 different papers. It showed us the process that it used to go through those papers, and then it generated that document, which we downloaded as a PDF. Now it's generated a nice outline for me, and I have the ability to go in and change this. Again, this is just an overview course, so understanding AI in education, what are the principles of AI as it relates to UDL, impact of AI on inclusive education, so I could put that in there as well. And I could put in, implementing AI for personalized learning. I'll just go in, and this is a little bit of a challenge for me, so I can just keep sharing the screen. I apologize for that. Just keep sharing it, guys. Okay. So I can implement AI for personalized learning here, and you can see I can identify and supporting learning challenges, so early detection of learning difficulties, AI tools that can support those learning difficulties, promoting equity in education through AI. This is actually a pretty nice little outline for a course, and there may be elements in here that I would have forgotten, but there are also maybe elements that I would like to add. So maybe I want to add a subtopic in here. And I want to say role of technology acceptance in adopting AI in education. And maybe I even want another subtopic in here, overview of the SAMR model in relation to AI in education. So the SAMR model is whether we're substituting, whether we're augmenting, where we're modifying or replacing the way that we do things. And this is where that entire thing that was happening or is happening, where some schools are using AI to teach and using guides to support the AI or the use of AI. I think that's trying to replace a teacher, which I don't think, we're not at that point, and nor do I think we ever will. And now I can create content manually, but the whole point of this is I want to create it using AI. So now it takes a little while for it to actually generate that. And obviously, the more comprehensive this course is, the longer this can take. And I'm doing a very comprehensive course where maybe I've done, 3, 4, 5 literature reviews using AnswerThis. So I'm literally working with maybe a couple hundred different articles that have been synthesized. Then I want to do a comprehensive course. This might be time to, be grabbing coffee, because it could take some time. You can see that it's working fairly quickly through this. It's already on topic 2 out of 17 topics, topic 3, and just have a sip of coffee here. And, while it's building this course, it is interesting. I've been reading quite a bit about AI in education. And, there are a couple of books that I've been thought were quite good. Now, this one here, The Fourth Education Revolution, this is a book by Anthony Selden. I read this some time ago. What's interesting is that this book actually came out, I think, before sort of the big burst in the AI revolution. This came out in, now it's not going to show me here. It's got to be here somewhere. But anyways, I'm sure it came out probably 2017, 2018. Now I have to look it up. But it's very interesting in terms of the tack that it takes. It's really looking at, more of a, what's happening. Will artificial intelligence liberate or infantilize humanity? I can't pronounce the word, but Very interesting book. I thought that was a great book. And there's a book by Salman Khan of Khan Academy. That's a great book, AI in Education. There's also Promises for Teaching and Learning. This is a series of articles. So this is AI in Education, Artificial Intelligence Education, Promises and Implications for Teaching and Learning. So we have a couple of editors in there. And this has several papers in it. This is a little bit more recent, but still sitting around the 2019 mark before the real revolution occurred. This one here, quickly, at 2019, this book came out. So it's hard to believe this is 6 years old, because what's happened with AI in that period of time is incredible in terms of its ability to learn and synthesize. And then we have, there's another great book by, well, this one's a little bit different, but this one's Life in the Smart Lane Augmented. So a couple of books that I would recommend, plus the one from Salman Khan in there as well. All right, so we've gone through and we've gone and seen the course generated. So hopefully that's worked out for me. It kind of jumped on me. So normally, I don't know if I missed something there, if there was a problem, but what we can do is I can go into my account. So we'll go into the home here. And if not, I'll have to look at a different course. We can look at the courses that I generated. And when you generate a course, there we go. So here's AI and the role it plays in student success. And I can view this course. So you'll see this is what was generated in the short time that we've had together. So it's created this course here where you can start the course, and you can see that we've got Understanding AI in Education. We can see that it's got some, information, principles of AI and UDL. We can see that it's got some, I'm having some software difficulties with sharing the screen. So I'm gonna have to troubleshoot that for future live streams. So you can go in here. You can see the impact of AI on an inclusive education. A lot of this is paragraph at this point in time. So a lot of, I could go in and we'll see in a moment that I can make modifications to this. So I can make modifications. There's a case study in here, so I can look and see what that's like. You can see that my outline is here. So we can have implementing, well, let's go back to this first one. You can see here overview of the SAMR model, right? Substitution, augmentation, modification, redefinition. You can see here the role of technology acceptance, and this is an overview or a summary course, so it's quite, quick on this in this regard. You can see that the course, creating learn. So kind of a nice little overview that I can go through and read. Now, if I want to go through, I can also edit this course. So a good example of editing this course is I can modify the course settings. I can actually go and refine some of the topics that are in here. Again, preview it. You can even download it into SCORM compliant. So if I want to put this into a learning management system. Now, I will say with the SCORM compliant, you need to buy the yearly subscription. So if you buy the month-to-month subscription, it doesn't have the ability to export out to SCORM. But if you have the yearly subscription, it does. And we can make modifications. So notice that here, if I want to make a change, let's say, for example, I wanted to take the SAMR model and I wanted to put in something like an image, right? I can go in and I can, single column, and I can choose where the image is going to go, break it 2 columns. So there's a lot of things I can do. Flip cards, hotspots. I often like to insert media. So I'll insert, well, especially my own YouTube videos. So I like to insert YouTube videos in there as well, where I can put, a video down at the bottom. And now I can insert video in here, add the video, put in the heading and such. I can do accordion files in here. So I can have a nice accordion file with action items in there, break it down. There's a lot of nice augmentations. You can even go back into AI and generate a case study if I want to put an additional case study in here, or different scenarios. So I'll do a scenario. So we'll go and do a scenario here, and entire topic and subtopics. So that'll use the AI to generate a scenario that I can use. This is on the SAMR model here. It might be nice to do a scenario on technology acceptance. I might want to have some scenarios here, but you can see that now I've got, a nice little scenario in here. I can read it, making sure that it's good. Notice that it's choosing Canadian examples. So I'm over on the West Coast here, and it's making it interesting so that anybody that would be working or taking this course would be connected to it from geography, connected to it from any unique things that I put in. But we can even go further than this. So we can even do some more stuff. So going back to the whiteboard, right? We talked about the idea. That's how fast, and we're only about 30 minutes into this live stream, and we've already synthesized and built an entire paper that was based upon 25 papers. We synthesized that together into a structured format. We've already put that into an online course. So we've built an online course with this. And now let's build a podcast out of this. So we could build other things as well. So we could build a game. We could build a interactive activity. We can do a lot of things using AI. And the point here with this live stream is when we think about AI in education, we're not using it to replace what we do, because I would still need to read through all the content that's being generated. I don't think it'd be a very exciting live stream if I sat here reading something for half an hour or an hour. But by going through and reading the content as a subject matter expert or with a subject matter expert, I can go in and modify it and really humanize it and make it relevant. But a lot of those big building blocks are put in place. So the tool that we would use, and you may have heard of this, is Notebook LM. And Notebook LM will now allow me to create an audio podcast based upon my the research paper that I give it. So let me just go in here, and I think probably it's under my Gemini, and I think I should have that. I always have a hard time sometimes finding the tools out here, right? Let me just go in here and grab Notebook LM, and you can see I'm here, so I'm signed in. So what I can do is create a new podcast, and you can see I have a number one in here, a number of them in here, but I'll choose a file in here. So we'll choose that research paper that we generated with AnswerThis. It's going to go through, and it actually sees what this paper is about. And what we're going to be able to do is we'll be able to go in and we'll be able to do a deep dive conversation with two hosts talking about this. There goes my screen. I think it must be, I'm guessing that with my software that I'm using, there must be a way where if I'm waving my hand that it's, I think it's got something to do with that, because it seems strange that it would just swap out of my screen all of a sudden. But anyways, I won't worry about it. I'll just have to put the screen back on. So if we see it's grabbed my paper, it's given me a nice little source here of what it's going to use. I can save that out to a note. I can add a note. I can create a mind map on the source. That's actually quite an interesting thing to do as well, to generate a mind map of the source, because you'll see that it'll go through and the structure that was added to the paper through AnswerThis will now be part of the mind map. So you can see here that it's going to talk about inclusion. It's going to talk about personalized and adaptive learning. So it's going to go in and talk about these subjects in here, and it'll even expand them out to another level, right? So these are the conversations that it's going to have. I can download the mind map, kind of a neat little mind map, and we can make it a little smaller here. I close it actually. And I can go in and customize the conversation. So, in this case here, I can make it longer or shorter, right? I'll make it default. And we're going to go in here and generate this. And I can create a study guide for the podcast, a briefing document. So we might have students that struggle with potentially reading or struggle with connecting to information if it's in a printed format. They may even struggle with navigating an online course. We'll try to make that online course super engaging by using things like video, doing things like interactive activities. But here we can go in and I can actually generate this conversation. And it takes a little while for it to generate the conversation, but what I'll end up with is a natural sounding conversation between two AI generated hosts. And I've been very, very impressed with just the quality of this, because now I have another way to study the material that's going to engage me with the material. There is an element of distillation where we're getting less and less fidelity on the subject. Obviously, the number one way to create fidelity on a subject is to do the work myself. right? To go out there, generate research, generate information on UDL, conduct analysis. That's going to be, of course, incredibly time consuming. And in some cases, the benefit from the time is not relevant to the topic at hand. I just want to have a little overview of AI's role in UDL-driven student success. Maybe what I'm going to do is, through a combination of that summary course, in conjunction with having the students listen to the podcast and or watch a video on the topic, we can now bring this into a classroom where we can have a discussion. So this would be, for example, let's say I was teaching teachers how to teach using AI. I might go in and use this as a way of flipping the classroom, so I know that when they come into the classroom, they've already gone through that summary course, that AI-generated summary online course. Maybe that would take them 20 minutes or half an hour, as opposed to reading a textbook or a chapter of a textbook. And I'm also going to generate this, and in this case here, we have a 16-minute podcast. They can listen to it at double speed if they want to, and hopefully the audio picks this up. We'll see. So it's quite a good, I'm not sure if the audio is picking up on that for anybody watching, but the audio is quite solid, and it's very conversational, and I'll post that somewhere so that you can see that after the fact, or listen to that after the fact. So you can see that what we've done is we've gone through, and I'll just erase the board here. So let's go ahead and sort of do a quick recap of what we've been able to accomplish here. So we'll go in, grab the eraser, and erase the board. Okay, so we've gone through and we've taken a look at how what we can do is, we took 25 papers, and we have the DOIs, so I can, if I want to go right back to the source to prove the validity of this, but this might not be a case where I'm doing rigorous research. Well, I'm definitely not doing rigorous academic research here. I'm just creating some artifacts that will help me teach. I'm creating some things that will help me in a classroom environment, in this case where I'm teaching and training instructors on the principles of AI as it relates to universal design for learning. And what I've been able to do is I was able to create a document out of that, and that was through the AnswerThis, right? So I was able to use AnswerThis for this particular activity. Now, I could have just as easily gone through and created multiple documents, so I could have had multiple perspectives on that. I just wanted to have the one document. And then what I did with that one document is I brought that into another AI tool. In this case here, it was AI Course Creator, and I was able to make modifications to that, and I was able to generate a summative online course. I can go complex, I can go simple, I can go professional, I can go casual. There's a lot of variety in there, but that course maybe allows me to have a 30-minute solo activity as opposed to a reading assignment where I'm going to say, read these 25 papers, because I don't see a lot of value of dedicating 3 or 4 days to reading those papers. I just want a summative, I want a thoughtful conversation that's fueled with some synthesized information, because we're then going to use this in the classroom to have a discussion. And then what I've done is I've taken that and I provided that as an audio file. So really I've demonstrated the principles of UDL by providing the same information in multiple formats so that I can reach students in ways that they resonate with. I just chose a podcast. There are other things that you could do with this document that you generated. I suppose there's potentially that you could turn it into all sorts of different things. The big thing that we're seeing now is video. So we're going to be able to start generating educational videos based upon documents. I would say that that's a little ways off, but with the speed of AI these days, that could be tomorrow. And there are certainly some preliminary things, results I'm not that pleased with. I don't get as quite a good quality as what we saw here. And now we can also go in and find ways to augment everything that we do with AI. So for example, if I was just going to go into our classic Word document and I was to create a lesson plan in there, we know that we have AIs like Copilot, which will help me generate structure to that, will make me more efficient in that, will make me more productive. We know that I can use tools such as, I tend to use either Google, Gemini or other tools. I'll show you one that I like to use a lot too. And I have videos on almost all of these on my channel. So you can usually find a video. If not, let me know in the comments below, and I'll be happy to be making one. So I tend to use Gemini here. This is an AI that goes out and will allow me to connect up to multiple models, because what I like to do is I like to go into a model here where I'm going to use, I don't have the coding model in here. So if you go in, let me grab, there are coder models in here. So you can see here that I've got different models in here. And maybe I want to go into this one here, best for code. And I've been teaching some coding courses lately on Python. And the challenge is, if you take a typical coding course in most schools, since I took coding courses, it's, what is a variable? And then we say, how do we deal with variables in Python? What is a loop? And how do we do loops in Python? How do we do if-then statements? How do we do functions? How do we handle data? All of these things we go chunk by chunk, and then what we do is we ask our students to synthesize it. But what if, instead of having students learn small pieces and then synthesize, what if we reversed it? What if we flipped the plot? And what if we said, what we're going to do is we're going to build a program and you're going to deconstruct it to see why it works. So, it's the kid with the screwdriver taking the VCR apart. So here, for example, with coding, I could say create an adventure game, right? Create an adventure game, text-based adventure game, just because I'm sure that's all it can do. Text-based adventure game with what I have plugged in, that in Python, if I could type today, that demonstrates the use of variables and variables, if statements, and loops. We'll do that for now. So we could expand upon this, but you can see that I have this adventure game that it's going to generate, and it's going to create a Python script that will have all of these elements in it. It takes a little while to generate it, but it's actually pretty quick because it's a lot faster than starting from scratch. And what this is going to allow the students to have is they're going to be able to start with a finished product, as opposed to having to build a product out of a bunch of pieces. I say to my students, it's the equivalent of if I handed you a bag full of Lego pieces and said, these Lego pieces click together and these Lego pieces click together, but what I'd like you to do is build a little car or build a little Batmobile or whatever the case may be. You'd be lost because you'd have to try to figure out how to do that from the pieces that you had in your bag of Lego. However, what if I gave you instead an example of a completed model? So I built the object, and then I said, okay, now how did I build the base? How did I build the top? How did I build the wings? How did I build each component? I think that's going to be a richer learning environment, and AI will allow us to do that in a way that's time efficient, because it's not time efficient if we have to construct this before we can even begin learning. So if I copy my code here, so I'll copy the code that was generated, and I'm doing this live, so hopefully I'm not going to embarrass myself. And if I go into my Python interpreter, so I'm using PyCharm, and if I use my PyCharm interpreter here, so we'll go in here and go into just grab this here. And I'll bring this over in a second here. Just want to get rid of what I was working on earlier. Okay, so as you can see that I've got my Python here. This is all AI generated. Let's see if it works. There we go. So I have this little adventure game right? So I have inventory, which door do I choose? So you can see left or right. Let's see if I can go to my left door, if it recognizes that. So you can see here, do I want to fight or flee? I'll battle the monster. And you can see here, oh, I did okay. I defeated the monster. I find a key, right? So now I have a key in my inventory, so I'm going to go to the right door. So you can see here that I'm now seeing a fun little game that I can play. But what's more important here is, as an instructor now with experience in programming, I can now go in and I can say, look how short this program is. Let's break this program down. You can see how the game played. Here are some variables. These are the variables to, what is a variable? And then I can say, what is the print statement? This goes a lot further than a classic hello world scenario, right? So we're able to do this a little bit better than your classic hello world. Now, I think, if I'm here, I'm here. And if I'm not, it could be that I just got kicked out of my live stream. So we'll see what happens here. Yeah, I think I'm kicked out of the live stream, which is a little awkward. Okay. 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 Hopefully that worked. We'll go here. Okay, everybody hear me? Oh, this is just awkward now. So live stream is being weird. I've got two. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, so this is not working. Okay, I'm going to end the live stream here. That was an example of AI in education with a lot of echo at the end. Hopefully this was interesting. I'll get my live stream software figured out, and we'll see you later.